This episode of Still Untitled was brought to you by Canary, a complete home security system in a single device. When Canary detects something out of the ordinary, it sends an intelligent notification with HD video straight to your phone. Canary puts you in control during an emergency. Through the Canary app, you can watch live footage with a built-in siren or connect with police near your home. Start protecting your home with Canary just for $200, $199. Go to meetcanary.com and use the promo code Untitled, like the name of this podcast, for free overnight shipping. Thanks to Canary for sponsoring this week's episode of Still Untitled, and on with the show.
Welcome to Still Untitled, the Adam Savage Project. I'm Will.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Norm.
Gentlemen, it is a lovely morning. There is a new Star Wars trailer this morning for us. In the past, for you guys, it's old.
In the past.
Yes, it's old news to all of you, but to us, it just happened this morning that The Force Awakens Japanese international trailer came out this morning with all sorts of extra new footage.
But it's such a...
Well, when we talked about the trailer last time, we were praising J.J. Abrams for the amount of control he has over the trailers. But it's an international movie, so footage clips in there, and there's actually one, I think IGN did an edit of all the scenes you've seen from all the trailers.
Oh,
and everything.
really?
So if you want to really spoil maybe 4 minutes of the movie for yourself in various pieces, you can do that. I don't recommend it. But we can say that the Japanese trailer, the international trailer, is pretty great.
I managed my expectations incredibly well until that last trailer came out. You guys made me watch it before we did the podcast. And then I saw, I was like, this trailer looks really good. Well, actually, this movie better be so good.
What you actually said was, if this movie sucks, I'm going to be so mad.
Look, everything looks good so far. I remain optimistic.
Can we talk about how unfortunate it is that part of the movie was shot in IMAX and yet it's only going to be actually in 70 millimeter IMAX at like half a dozen locations in the US?
One of them's in San Francisco, though, right?
One of them is in San Francisco.
I'm cool.
But didn't they, am I right that I read this, that Lucasfilm is actually showing, they're actually going to be taking over all the IMAX theaters.
All the IMAXs, too.
IMAX is a brand, is in science centers, they're in big theaters, but they're also in converted other theaters where they push up the screen and they use IMAX projectors. So the current latest generation of IMAX projectors are the IMAX laser projectors, and they're digital. They're digital IMAX.
It's really hard to do that not on felt.
I know.
So,
yeah.
Digital IMAX projectors, which is the vast majority of them. And while they will be taking over IMAX for a month, you're not going to be able to see it in actual film IMAX, 70 millimeter IMAX, unless you're in the handful of places, one of which is, fortunately for us.
What's your ticket situation?
I have 3 sets of tickets.
Oh.
I'm watching it 3 times the first weekend, twice in 70 millimeter IMAX.
I will still be on tour when it comes out.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You know, people have offered you tickets for the tour.
Really?
Yes. I don't know if you want to take them up on that, but we can discuss it off
Let's
podcast.
discuss this offline, because yes is the answer, but I'd be looking at a matinee because
you have to work at night, it turns out.
Yeah.
That's right. Sorry, he put a sign. All the kids show up for the show. And Adam,
what day does it open? Is the
17th.
The 7 p.m. on the 17th.
You know what's
Thursday?
Funny is, wait a second. If you have I can't not take my kids that day.
Yeah, you could. I mean, it depends on whether you're a good dad or bad.
What Adam is asking for are like
no.
3
Here's
tickets.
the thing: is I'm actually on the 16th. I'm performing. I think in Portland, Oregon. On the 18th, I'm performing in Fresno, California, and on the 19th, we are doing a last show here in San Francisco. And that is the last Jamie show. It's the last Adam and Jamie touring show. It's the end of everything.
Yeah,
at the end you're going to murder Jamie live on stage.
But on the 17th, I don't have anything to do. It's actually a day off.
Between the Portland and Fresno, are you actually traveling through San Francisco?
I am. I'm coming here.
Oh my goodness.
What an amazing... And it's in San Francisco? Fresno's the 18th. The fates are aligned. They're dueling. Hey,
nice. Wow. Well done, Will.
I
nice
have moments.
Call back to the John Williams soundtrack titles.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you, don't look at the back cover of the soundtrack because it has huge... Spoilers. As is the tradition, huge spoilers. Because the Phantom Menace soundtrack there's a song called "The Death of Qui-Gon."
Oh my God!
And you're like, what? What?
I don't know if they've announced the track list for the score.
It's out there.
Oh, it's out there. Oh, that's huge.
The other thing that came out yesterday
Yeah.
was the second Hateful Eight trailer.
That's
the
right. I haven't
eighth
seen it.
Quentin Tarantino film. Oh, you haven't seen it?
I'm going to go totally cold on this. I don't want to see any of this.
Oh, it looks really good.
No shit.
He's made a drawing room. He's made a drawing, effectively what looks like a drawing room murder mystery.
Yeah.
You mean like a closed
clue.
door?
Yeah, this is all 8 characters are stranded in a snowbound hut,
And it's a Western, right?
and it's a western.
With Samuel Jackson.
Tim Curry in it?
What?
No, Tim
Is Tim
Curry.
Curry
It's
in
not
it?
Clue.
No. Oh.
But it's a
It's
stage
Tim
play.
Roth.
Okay.
Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Is Madsen in it?
Michael Madsen is in it.
I believe so.
God, who else? Who else am I forgetting? Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Christoph Waltz.
Didn't he try to get?
Christoph Waltz? I don't think I saw him. Samuel Jackson.
Wasn't Jennifer Jason Leigh originally up for the Mia Wallace role or something? She's been on his list of people to bring into movies for a long time, as I recall.
Jennifer Jason Leigh. We haven't talked about her on the podcast, but she is one of the just great actresses of all time. I revere her. I love her. She's amazing in everything she does. You know, when you see her in the Hudsucker Proxy, and then you watch her in something like Miami Blues with
never
Alec
saw that.
Baldwin, which is a really dark and intense, brilliant, lovely movie.
Is that a who wrote Glengarry Glen Ross? I'm completely
David
blanking.
Mamet.
Yes,
It's not a Mamet
It's
film.
okay.
I don't think so.
It sounds like it would be a Mamet film
Yeah.
from the title.
Well, Tarantino writes stage plays, basically.
Yeah.
So it's perfect setting. And that also comes out this year. Hey, we can't ignore that on the table you got 2 Stormtrooper helmets.
Oh,
yes.
product placement.
What are they? What are these Stormtrooper helmets?
Well, they're from the new film, and this one you actually got from the RPF.
Yes, that is
fan
an
sculpt?
RPF purchase, version 2 of a fan sculpt
It does say
of
V2.
Stormtrooper.
Yep.
Nice.
And some of the extra greeblies are actually taped on the inside. I bought this as a kit. I haven't put it together. And then today,
A Novos.
you brought up this amazing Anovos helmet for me.
Yeah.
And it fits me beautifully, except without glasses on, so I would need to wear contact lenses for it. But it is an incredibly comfortable helmet, and it also is finished really nicely on the inside.
on the inside, the padding on the inside
Yeah.
is really nice.
It's really, really like
yeah.
That looks
you'd
comfy.
imagine a real thing might look, and it has an
good weight.
incredible substance and weight to it.
I would imagine that Stormtrooper helmets. I don't think the Empire really cares about the comfort of its shock troopers.
Well, no, clearly they haven't. But now I've got a multitude of Stormtrooper helmets. I think I own 5 altogether.
Can I ask a question?
Okay.
Why do Stormtroopers wear armor, Adam?
I have no idea.
I mean, it didn't work against the blasters.
You know, my favorite regular con joke is that when anyone's taking pictures with a Stormtrooper, they say, "Point the gun at me," and the Stormtrooper goes like this, very far away.
It's great.
it doesn't work against the Ewoks.
No.
It's
And it
useless.
should, because Ewoks need to be. My thing 1 and thing 2 know for a fact that the way to annoy their stepmom, my wife, is by making Ewok impressions.
Yup,
So they go, "Jingle motherfucker," and she's like, "Oh, I hate those freaking Ewoks."
What? Have you watched Return of the Jedi lately? Have you gone back and revisited it as an adult?
Why would I?
It is I found it to be a much better constructed film than I remembered.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Look, I love the darkness of the beginning with Luke, and I love Leia turning out to be the one with the
bounty
thermal
hunter.
detonator,
Yep.
Han, helpless, Lando. I mean, no. It's the freaking Ewoks, man. They're just horrifying.
The rest of that whole sequence is great, right? Like
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's intercut really beautifully. It has this amazing pace. And if you
Sice Noodles in the band is awesome.
they're gone
Jabba's
now.
Palace.
They're not in the movie anymore.
Really?
Sice Noodles and Max Rebo got ixnayed from the
What?
special editions.
What?
You got to go to the internet and get the Harmies to get Sice Noodles back.
What
Oh,
was?
boy.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. There are also new posters for The Force Awakens.
There are.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not the biggest fan of them.
No.
Those headshots.
They're gorgeous
with the
headshots.
props. And then
I haven't gone to look at them. I only saw the Han Solo one, which
Yeah,
seems
people
to
are
show what looks like a modified DL-44
Yeah.
with a machined flat bottom.
machine
of the
flat
barrel.
bottom, which is nice, but also it has the magazine, so it's not exactly the same as the old one.
No.
And there's a little port for the airsoft.
I want. Oh, really?
Yeah, you can see where the gas refill is.
I want. I want Han's jacket.
The
new one
old
from the
hand
new
jacket.
film.
Yeah.
I want old hand jacket.
Yeah. He always
from
wears good jackets.
The teaser trailer where he says, "Chewie, we're home." I was just like, we just watched the trailer just prior to
Yeah.
this,
I know.
and
Top of
Will and
mind.
I were both demonstrating genuine chicken skin.
You know, I think I wish that I knew somebody who had a show where you could test myths. Because I would love to know. I think that they can do that with like harmonics that you can't hear. I think that's a thing you can
Audio
induce.
mix.
Yeah.
It's like instead of the brown noise, it's the
Brown
chickens.
note. So, wow. Do you think it can be induced without interesting material just based on sound?
I bet somebody in the audience cuts trailers for a living and can tell us how they do it. That's my request.
They could.
You think it's a frequency and not just a harmony?
I think I think you hit a certain combination of low frequency subsonics and it triggers it in a lot of people.
That's very simple.
It's like nails on a chalkboard does the same thing to some people too.
I honestly
But
don't know.
it's unfortunate I don't know anybody who tests that kind of
I no
stuff.
longer have a show in which I test
I know it's
stuff.
unfortunate. If only I had thought to ask this question last year.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
So last week we took questions from the audience. People tweeted us and emailed us, and we answered. I think two questions.
It was I mean, that's one question every 7.5 or 8 minutes. That's pretty good.
Good rate. And so we're going to continue with some more questions from you guys out there. These were sent via Twitter this morning, which just happens to be the same morning we shot last weekend.
Did we ever cover these chips on the
We didn't.
podcast or anything?
No, they're different chips.
The chips that Will and I are playing with here are my replica Rounders chips. Yes, I have a full massive.
It's a full rack.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4.
It would be each one of these stacks is $2,000 because it looks like they're 20.
Well, no. So that's 10 grand right there. Those are $100 chips.
yeah.
So I've got 6 and 12, and there's 100. So I have 1,200 of these chips in all the denominations that they are in the movie Rounders, the greatest poker movie. I love it. It doesn't reflect. I look. It's poker. It's poker philosophy is a little off, but it's a brilliant dramatic film,
Yes.
and I love it.
Yes.
And I've always wanted a set of Rounders chips, and a few years ago, I had a replica set manufactured.
It's one of Matt Damon's finest early films, for
and
sure.
Ed Norton, it's great. John Malkovich with the worst Russian accent in film history, but so exciting.
So menacing. There's nothing worse than a bad Russian accent to make you a little terrified.
Totally true.
Did you go through a poker phase? Did you play poker?
I did. We played poker for several years with some friends every Sunday night. And I actually have a set of custom chips I had made called Sunday Night Chips in the denominations we played in. $40 buy-in.
That's the right
It's a
stakes.
solid stinging
Yeah.
loss when you have to buy in 3 or 4 times.
The weight
You
on
allow
these.
What's
What's that?
Rebuy?
Of course we do.
Did
We
you play
don't do
limit or no
tournament
limit?
No, we didn't have a limit. It was all in. You
was
could
all-
go
you
all
could
in.
go all
If you
in.
had $200 in your stack and you were up against another stack that big, you could go all in.
Nice.
Power moves.
These are like 11.5 gram chips. These are nice.
These are heavy. These are real professionally made. We once, in my home poker game, had 4 jacks. He flopped 4 jacks. This is, we play No Limit Hold'em with a 50-cent $1 buy-in.
Okay.
My friend Adam.
Your neighbor, by the way, is doing some heavy duty woodworking
Yes.
over there. So apologies for the sound.
So my friend Adam flopped 4 jacks. Now, here's the thing is, if you play Hold'em, jacks are just, a pair of jacks in the hole is one of the worst possible hands because they will always get boned. Those jacks will just screw you. They look shiny, but they will hurt you.
And flopping 3 is bad enough. But 4, you're good there, right?
He flopped them 4 and lost to a inside straight flush.
Straight flush.
brutal.
Runner straight flush.
What? He didn't bet big enough in the. I mean, you have to slow play 4 jacks, right?
He was playing a player who really liked aces and chasing the aces. And Adam was slow playing because he's a brilliant poker player. But
Is this the Adam we know?
Adam Tobin.
Oh, okay. No, we don't know. This
No, it's not Adam Rogers. Basically, they went all in on the turn, turned over their cards, and we realized there was one card in the deck with which Adam could be beaten, and
it's like
that's the
2%.
card that
Is it
came
2%?
up.
That's amazing.
And that's the card that came up. I bought him dinner. I bought him a bad beat dinner.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's the kind of hand. If you're in a casino playing cards and you get that kind of bad beat, then you win a ton of money.
Oh yeah.
Hey, and bad beats are what you remember.
Yep.
That's all you remember.
We had a great game. It was a really fun game. I am a very aggressive and taciturn poker player. I've got hot nights and cold nights. My wife has the hardest face to read in all of history. So when she plays aggressively, you're screwed because you will have no idea what she's holding.
The worst people to play against are the tight conservatives that occasionally just go completely batshit.
Yeah,
that's completely unpredictable.
It is totally unpredictable, and we've it was a lovely game for a while. But we've been thinking lately we've got to do it again. And I think in January I'm going to start up a regular night game because it's really fun to do. Have you had a poker game?
We at Future, when we were making magazines, we had a weekly game. It was like Tuesday night after work, and we would play until 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And it was like a $20 buy-in because we were journalists. So $40. I mean, that's like a week's salary.
That's 2 articles.
That's too close, man. But yeah, it was. We played. I want to say we played Limit for a long time, and then we occasionally, if people felt like they were going to stay around, we'd play a tournament. So we'd do a $20 buy-in, and then winner takes all, and you could do rebuys once.
We never did it. I think we maybe did a tournament once where immediately after 3 people were out, they just started a side game.
Yeah. The problem with the tournament is unless you have enough people to start the side game, then it's no.
You need
you just have to go
7
home.
or 8 people for a tournament.
Yeah.
But should we get to questions?
Might as well. Yeah. Sorry.
Well.
All right.
Questions. I know last week we talked about the kind of itinerary of a Mythbusters shooting day.
Yes.
We're going to talk about the ending of the day. So Samuel asks, how do you clean up after the destruction and big explosions? Is there a leave no trace policy?
Absolutely, there's a leave no trace policy. Mythbusters wouldn't be Mythbusters if we didn't have the incredible relationships we have with vendors all over the Bay Area, from the Alameda County Sheriff's Department to the Alameda Naval Station runway to the Altamont landfills to all the other military bases we use in the Bay Area. We have great relationships with all of them because we absolutely leave the place as we found it or better.
How is it difficult? I mean, to clean up after and to prepare for.
For years, up until like I'd say 2009, 2010, it was Jamie and I were doing a good portion of it.
You guys all walk the field afterwards and pick up scrap and carry it back?
Yeah, and get everything into the trucks and everything. With the greater demands on our time from other appearances and Discovery, et cetera, we've been able to build a bigger crew over the years, and we have a great crew, and we have some expansion people who we hire on a per shoot basis to come in and do cleanup and to do both sometimes early setup, like we need 300 cones placed around a runway for driving. We'll send out a map and have somebody set it up before we arrive in order to save time.
What's been the most difficult cleanup, or one of the most that you remember?
The most difficult cleanup ever happened 2 weeks ago.
Okay,
and that was in the finale episode.
Well, that's all we can say about that.
Actually,
what's the most difficult you can talk about?
The last 2 sequences in the finale episode required a tremendous amount of cleanup. The penultimate act of the final episode was a mile of cleanup.
Wow.
The last was more than a mile.
Wow.
Where things flew more than a mile. Let's put it that way. Things flew a long
way.
This question actually comes from a tested listener who is the art director and production designer on Moon.
I love those spacesuits on Moon.
Yes, and he actually just releases a new short film called The Last Man, which you guys should check out. Gavin Rothery asks, if you could go back in time and visit any production during filming, which set or location would you want to visit?
Can I guess? Can I guess what you're going to say? You're going to say The Shining.
No.
The Shining from the filming, from your film.
Oh, from Mythbusters.
Yes.
Sorry. Repeat that again.
Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Let's make it a 2-part question.
Okay. Yeah.
If you could go back and revisit any of the places you've gone and produced on for Mythbusters, where would you want to go back? And then the B-part question, maybe, which I think is what he was asking, is for a film.
So we have. We get a lot of production value out of Mythbusters without ever really having to travel for the most part. We've done 95% of what we needed to do here in San Francisco or within a day's drive. We did get to travel to Africa in the mid-2000s for one of the Shark Week episodes. We spent almost 2 weeks in Simonstown, South Africa on False Bay, where the great white sharks leap all the way out of the water. And I got to watch that happen right in front of me, like right over there.
Why do they do it there and not elsewhere? Is it just
Nobody
fun?
knows. Nobody knows.
Okay.
It's like the culture of the sharks is such that that's how they kill the seals on Seal Island out there in the middle of False Bay.
Got it.
That was amazing. being in Africa is the only time I've been, was astounding and really sort of life-changing. Afterwards, we went to an amazing reserve called the Shamwari Nature Preserve. We did a safari, and it was incredible. I would totally go back there in a heartbeat. If I could visit any film set,
film set or production.
God. I mean, it'd be hard to pass up just wanting to visit the Millennium Falcon on the original set of Star Wars. And it's The Shining is an interesting one, but I might find myself more interested in visiting the set of 2001 simply because of this. That was the first thing that came to my mind.
I figured it would be a Kubrick, but I wasn't sure which one.
But, at the same time, visiting, what would it have been like to watch an under 30-year-old Steven Spielberg directing Jaws and solving those problems on a day-to-day basis and basically inventing a genre of film with that movie?
It'd be why isn't the shark working today? Right. Why isn't the shark working today?
Did you see that lovely video that got posted on the internet last week called "The Power of Props"?
Yes.
No.
Posted and dusted. Yeah.
It was a lovely. Yeah. Oh, we did. Right.
Yes.
Good. It was really terrific and talked about the power of the MacGuffin, the thing that draws your attention and it becomes a focal point of the plot. But then, so I vacillate between wanting to visit certain sets, but also wanting to visit great directors and watching them. Watching Cameron direct Terminator or Alien.
It's why so much should be documented. And I know it's not built because movies are made. They only have so many shooting days. When a producer is talking about the budget, their goal is to make a movie. It's not to document the process.
Well, but I mean, if you think back about, like, one of the first things I saw that showed behind the scenes was that thing that ran on CBS after they aired Star Wars the first time, or maybe the second time.
Oh, really?
Sure. So they had how the behind the magic kind of how the effects were made that showed how the motion control cameras worked, how they turned, essentially, plastic sticks into lightsabers with rotoscoping and all of that kind of stuff. And that showed me it took a lot of the magic away, but in a really positive way, because it was much more I understood it much better as a result of that, and appreciated it much more when I saw how dozens and dozens and hundreds of people were working together to make 1 3-second shot of 3 X-wings swooping down into the Death Star trench or whatever it was.
The thing that you bring up is that's hard to do is that there is a lot of documentation on every feature film now. There are people dedicated just to shooting that stuff. But at the same time, it's a messy process. And, every director has their proclivities. And I don't think they necessarily want you to see footage of them getting upset because it's super stressful and things aren't working or things are working.
And that behind the scenes stuff is largely shot, or at least what's released is for promotional purposes.
Yeah,
right.
So the intent of what you're documenting changes what you're actually going to get out of it.
It's quite fascinating to read early episodes it's quite fascinating to read early issues of Cinefex versus late issues of Cinefex. If you read up to issue probably, I don't know, 60 or something like that, you're getting a lot of unvarnished stuff.
Oh, really?
Because it was this outlier of a magazine that no one was really paying attention to outside the effects industry. And you get some genuine pictures of things that went wrong and actors that had trouble or got heat stroke and stuff like that. And then later it became this sort of PR tool. And don't get me wrong, the articles still go into great detail about the effects, but who talks to the writer becomes a more managed and nuanced decision.
Absolutely. Someone's in the room from the studio.
Yeah.
Cinefex also,
which is totally understandable. I don't begrudge that model, but I like you sometimes have to read between the lines. Like if you read the issue about making of Titanic, they'll say things like, well, we decided we needed a model for this, and we did an incredible thing with 120 model makers. We built a 40-foot Titanic in 37 days. I think my numbers are all off, but the fact is it was clear to me as a modeler looking at that was a nightmare.
Oh yeah.
125 model, it's hard to build one thing with that many people, and it's a hard problem to throw money and people at.
Yeah.
And you looked at this and you realized, oh my God, people must have had such a nightmare of a time. And there are productions that I know were awful, like Starship Troopers was a really rough production down in LA for everyone who worked on it. They allude to some of that in the Cinefex, but it's not really obviously stated.
Do you think Cinefex is actually now bi-monthly? They just changed it, which is awesome.
What?
It used to be quarterly, and now it's going to come out every 2 months.
Oh, that's great.
It's so great. And 2, Starship Troopers, funny thing is, this past weekend I was at the Kamikaze Expo.
Yeah.
Phil Tippett, a Tippett Studio, had a booth there, which so generous of them. They brought a lot of the original maquettes and props, like RoboCop's
cool.
jetpack, the stuff that we've seen at Tippett Studio was just on the floor at Kamikaze for people to get close up to and take pictures of. Casper Van Dien came by and did a great photo with his holding the Starship Troopers guns.
That's amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. That's fabulous. I have always heard that Casper Van Dien is a terrific guy.
Yeah, he seemed really nice. He partook in the cosplay contest, Casper Van Dien as Casper Van Dien.
When they
Okay, I'm going to tell this story. You know what Jamie Heineman did on Halloween?
What do you do on Halloween?
this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which at this point is now
It's like 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Jamie put on his white shirt and his beret, and he walked the length of Fair Oaks, which is a street they shut down for Halloween here in the in Noe Valley. And most people thought it was a costume.
I can see
Only
that.
a few people realized it was actually Jamie.
That's amazing.
Isn't that the best?
That's so good.
Wow. It's like those children's stories when the monsters come out on Halloween and they get to blend in with all the kids. Not that Jamie's a monster, but I'm just saying. It's the
Wow.
same principle.
Wow.
Norm, I'm the one that's the short timer. You better watch out.
I think we should move on to the next question.
I think it's a good idea.
So now the questions kind of go away from Mythbusters and more about what your interest and what you're doing. Someone asked if you, now you have more time, and have you thought about writing a book? And if you were going to write a book, what would you want that book to be about?
I think it's worth just stating outright. Yeah, I do have a book. I would like to write. I have an outline that I wrote 12 years ago and have augmented since then here and there. I'd like to write a really definitive model making manual. I've got over there, I built a new bookshelf last week, and that's all my model making books. I collect them whenever I can. So I've got probably about 100 written all the way back to the 20s. But the type of model making that I learned to do is different than most model making manuals, which are for home hobbyists and train enthusiasts and stuff like that. In that speed is really of the essence. Time and money are the things you have to battle to build stuff for films.
It's the good, fast, or cheap, right?
Yeah, exactly. And what Will's referring to is this wonderful thing, which we call the good, fast, cheap triangle. Choose two.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can have it good and fast, but it won't be cheap. You can have it good and cheap, but it won't be fast, et cetera, et cetera. And I have this manual of really going deeply into model making the way we do it in film, which is with time being a significant factor to be defeated, as it were. So I don't have time to spray something with a clear coat and let it dry for a week. I need it to be shiny right now and handleable right now. So instead of using a clear lacquer clear coat, I'll actually airbrush floor wax onto something because I can build up super shiny coats with that.
Well,
This
is one of the things that when we first started coming into your shop and watching your work, I was absolutely I was flummoxed, right? Because you regularly do things that if you go to high school shop class or even I assume a higher level, an artisan school or trade school, then like they would frown upon. So things, the old measure twice, cut once. Your approach is, in my experience, has been cut it. We'll figure it out if it doesn't work. A lot of times, which works.
I like to build that way. I build very organically.
Got a name for your book or at least a chapter? The very obvious one day build.
Oh, nice. One thing that I did, I wrote the outline at the time I was teaching advanced model making at the Academy of Art College in San Francisco in the late 90s and early 2000s. And teaching advanced model making taught me an amazing thing, which is that I needed to have an entire chapter devoted to sanding because I had no idea how hard most people found the concept of sanding. And you'd see people with a piece of sandpaper just jammed with material and almost smooth because it was so caked with stuff, and they're still sitting there and doing it. So I have a whole philosophy of sanding that I've written out into a chapter. In fact, a couple of different pieces that I wrote for that book have been articles that I ended up putting in Make Magazine. And that is a great harbinger of the way that book would look. And in fact, the design layout and methodical approach that Make takes to showing builds is, to me, the gold standard for how you show people how to make things.
Documentation.
Speaking of Make, and this is a side, I apologize, but I was at a Make event ever so briefly the other night, and they had some new hardware showcased there.
Oh, really?
From people that we have covered on the past. Norm, I know you talked to Zach from Inventables about the Carvey, which is a desktop router, a desktop CNC
Milling
router.
machine.
Yeah, milling machine that looks rad. But I also met Brooke from Printerbot. We've covered his 3D printers in the past. They make the Printerbot Metal Simple, which is a $530 printer kit, 3D printer kit. That's a great way to learn about 3D printers if you want to get into that and start making stuff. You can tune it to make some incredible things. Jeremy and I have both had pretty good success with it. But he has a variable size router that you can basically CNC router that rides on top of a piece of 4x8 plywood. It has rails. You can extend it in and out.
Gosh.
You screw belts into the edges and it'll track back and forth. And you can use it to make a huge giant router table that you can then use to break down a sheet of plywood.
Wow.
It is incredible. It's a little bit expensive. I think it's $3 or $4 grand, but
We have to look into that.
you should.
Oh, yeah.
I'll introduce you guys.
Totally.
Cool. Well, we answered 2 to 3
more.
questions.
Wow.
I think it's a good rate. The quality of the questions and
The quality of the questions is terrific,
Yes.
and these are involved answers. You know,
yeah, we'll do it again sometime.
Can I ask you a couple? Which we blast out a couple yes or no questions real quick.
yeah. Did you have?
No, I didn't. I was hoping Norm had something.
Yeah, no, let's not.
Norm, do you have any questions?
Depth
Yes or
over
no?
breadth. Let's no.
We'll be back next week, guys.
Nice move, Will.
Oh, damn, I'm smooth.
Crossing fingers that you're available that 17th, December 17th.
We're gonna work that out.
We're gonna figure it out.
I can't not bring thing 1 and thing 2, so we got to work that out.
We'll figure it out. And we'll see you guys next
That
week.
movie had better be good.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening to that episode of Still Untitled. And if you liked the show, please support us by supporting our sponsors. And the sponsor for this week's show is Canary. Canary is a complete home security system in a single device. Like we mentioned earlier, Canary, when it detects something out of the ordinary, it sends intelligent notifications with HD video straight to your phone with the Canary app. Puts you in control during an emergency. You can watch live footage. You can sound the built-in siren, or you can connect to police near your home. So start protecting your home today with Canary just for $199, and you can use the promo code Untitled to get free overnight shipping. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you next time.